not encouraging or advising anyone to modify their firearms. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Hey, what's up everyone? I wanted to make a follow-up video about the problems I had with the barrel in this MKE AP5. I'll leave a link in the description to the short where I showed that I got, end cap strikes when running a suppressor on it. I'm going to cover the issue or symptoms, what I found, and how I corrected it. It was a pretty weird one. Let's get into it. Before I shot it, I tried mounting my tri-lug suppressor, and the tri-lug wouldn't even go on the barrel all the way. It would fit about there, and it wouldn't go on far enough to engage with the lugs. I found that this thread protector was causing interference. I took that off, and then I was able to put the suppressor on. I reduced the diameter of this thread protector with a grinder, and then I could get my suppressor on the muzzle with the thread protector on there as well. Figured I would run this if I could, just so the threads don't get all fouled up when running the suppressor if I wanted to use the threads for something later. Even before I shot it suppressed, I went to zero the irons at 25 yards, and I noticed I was getting pretty terrible accuracy. I mean, we're talking like, dinner plate sized groups here at 25 yards from bag support. Sorry, I didn't think to get any pictures of these groups. I could also not get the windage zeroed. With the rear sight adjusted all the way to the right, my group was still, roughly centered as best I could tell, a few inches left of my point of aim. I did not notice any keyholing or tumbling of the bullets at the target. When I shot it suppressed, I quickly noticed my shots were going about 4 feet low and to the right at 25 yards. I stopped, cleared the gun, checked the suppressor, and sure enough, the bullets were bouncing off of the end cap. I then removed the thread protector, thinking that it's likely causing issues, and I tried again. Now the shots were only going 1 to 2 feet low right. I cleared the weapon again, looked at the end cap of the suppressor, and saw evidence that the bullets were just grazing it. So the thread protector was clearly causing issues, but I was still getting end cap strikes without this. Since the bullets were just scuffing the end cap, I did some quick testing. I re-indexed the suppressor in all 3 positions of the tri-lugs. It can mount every 120 degrees since these lugs are evenly spaced. No matter how I had the suppressor mounted, I was always getting contact at the upper left of the end cap. This tracked with where my bullets were going. They were hitting the upper left of the suppressor and then bouncing low right. When I got home, I pulled the tri-lug and found that there was bullet jacket pieces inside the blast baffle of the suppressor. My end cap was pretty badly damaged, and I saw that I did have 1 baffle strike at the very last baffle. I didn't have a 9mm alignment rod, but clearly I needed to check that, so I ordered one. When I got it, to my surprise, the alignment looked like this. That looks good enough to send it to me. As another check, I removed the thick paint-like coating from the tri-lug taper surfaces, marked them up with a Sharpie, and put the suppressor back on to check the contact pattern. It looked good, even, contact around all 3 lugs. As I looked closer, I saw that the half 28 threads appeared to be tweaked or non-concentric with the bore. I 3D printed some tight-fitting tubes, one for the threads and one for the diameter in front of the tri-lug to check their alignment. This diameter in front of the tri-lug looked fine. It aligned well enough. And this matched what I was seeing with the alignment rod and suppressor attached to the tri-lug. The tube on the half 28 thread showed me that the threads were not aligned with the bore. The threads were pointing up and a little bit left with respect to the bore. As I looked closer in the muzzle, I saw this, an odd ring around the inside of the bore, about 1/2 inch in, kind of where the thread relief was before the tri-lug mount. The rifling wasn't continuous, there was a step in there. I used gauge pins to determine that the bore opened up after this step. Not only were the threads non-concentric to the bore of the barrel, further back, but the last 1/2 inch or so of the bore was also tweaked. I've drawn a cross section here, exaggerated for clarity, so we can see what it looked like. The last, 1/2 inch or so of the barrel was tweaked up and then slightly to the left. the bore and the external threads. And the bore was flared out to a slightly larger diameter. I think as the bullet was coming out, it was contacting right here and deflecting slightly up and left. This resulted in the terrible accuracy, the inability to zero my windage, and with the suppressor, it was resulting in the jacket pieces in the blast baffle and the baffle and end cap strikes. So that was myth busted. There were quite a bit of clues or symptoms, but this one still took some detective work. I've never seen anything like this. The muzzle of this AP5 was proper fucked. I don't know exactly how this barrel ended up like this. I think I have a decent idea based on how I believe these to be manufactured, but I don't want to go off on a long speculative rant in this video. In any case, the half 28 threads were absolutely not usable. Accuracy was shit. I couldn't run a suppressor. This barrel should have never been installed in a gun or left the factory. The fix was pretty simple. Back bore the rifling to before the step in the bore and the tweaked thread area. Of course, I can't just remove the barrel easily and throw it in a lathe. With a 3D printed jig and a sketchy fixturing setup, I was able to get it done with a 3/8 end mill. I also faced the muzzle because it was pretty rough looking. Then I ground the threads off because I couldn't use them anyways. Luckily, I'm only going to run a tri-lug suppressor on this thing, and that mounting interface is fine. It's concentric with the rest of the bore. I deburred and refinished everything at the muzzle with cold blue and then coated it with oil. I have shot it since. Accuracy improved. I'm getting about a fist size group at 25 yards, which I think is reasonable. I was able to zero my windage, and I can run the suppressor now. Here's a quick shooting clip with some subsonic ammo. I did contact Century Arms about this issue via their website. Never got a reply. I didn't expect one. What are they going to do? Take the gun back, ship it back to Turkey, have them replace the barrel, send it back to the States, and then Century sends it back to me from there? Not likely. Other than the barrel and the bastard trigger pack that was in this, which I made a couple of videos on, the quality seemed okay. The bolt gap was just wider than the top of the spec, but it runs reliably, and as it wears, the bolt gap will close up a little bit. It's bullshit for $1,500 though, right? That's what I paid for this thing. For $1,500, you should sure as hell get a firearm with a decent barrel. Not one that's so screwed up that it ruins accuracy and prevents you from running muzzle devices. Customer service? Nah, you're on your own. You get one like this and can't figure out how to fix it yourself, you're going to have an expensive gunsmith bill if you can even find one who will work on it. So keep that in mind. Anyways, I'm pretty sour on the Turkish MP5s. Of course, my sample size is 1. But even after making this an SBR, which I did pay $200 for the tax stamp because I filed it last year, getting some NFA engraving done and replacing a bunch of parts for 922R compliance, putting the fixed stock on it, I'm still in this thing for less money than the new price of an SP5. So whatever. That's it for this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope this was interesting to you. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.